thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Signing autographs. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Well, the peace and quiet of Frostbite Falls has been pretty well shattered these last few days. First, Colonel McCornpone, editor of the Picayune Intelligence, sponsored a treasure hunt to find a buried pot containing $1 million in Confederate money.
Plus a 1910 Stearns Knight Roadster reconditioned.
Then the good citizens of Frostbite Falls tried so hard to find the Picayune pot that they riddled the town with holes and tunnels.
Here's a spot where nobody's dug yet. Hey, where'd you come from?
I'm digging from the bottom up.
Next, a gang of bank robbers led by Babyface Braunschweiger
Alias Boris Bedenow, folks.
took advantage of the hole-digging spree to burrow under the town bank in order to rob it. And finally, when Rocky and Bullwinkle tried to warn the bank, Bullwinkle said the wrong thing.
Hey, it's a stick-up!
And the bank guards immediately opened fire on our friend.
Hey, wait a minute! It's me!
Hold your fire. I recognize that helmet. That's our boy Rocky.
And his boy Bullwinkle.
What's this all about, Rocky?
Robbers! Crooks! Thieves!
Oh, come. There's no need to call names.
Not you, Mr. Fremley! You have bandits in your basement!
Safe crackers in my cellar.
Yeah, and villains in your vault.
Come on, men.
And our friends dashed for the basement of the bank, only to find it empty.
Hot diggies, they're gone.
Yes, there's only one thing.
What's that?
The money's gone with them.
After 'em, Bullwinkle! They can't have gone far!
True enough, for at that moment, Boris and the light-fingered 5-2 were just pulling away from the bank in their getaway car.
Give me your hand, Bullwinkle! I gotta catch 'em!
Right, Rock!
And the mighty moose seized his friend and tossed him high into the air. In a moment, Rocky was flying after the retreating car and slowly overtaking it. But the cunning crook was prepared for even this eventuality.
Okay, Three Finger, fire!
Fortunately for our hero, the shell burst fell short of him.
He's too high, babyface. Raskolnikov. Here, use special high-power shell. Okay, babyface.
And the robber loaded his terrible weapon, aimed carefully, and fired. The recoil blew open the gun barrel and drove the getaway car into a wall. But it had done its dreadful work well. The shell burst right in front of our hero, and dazed and shaken, he spun toward the ground.
I finally got that meddlesome squirrel. Oh, boy, it's a black leather day.
But where do we get another car?
Where did we get this one?
We stole it.
So steal another one.
But where?
Sure enough, Boris had forgotten that there were very few cars in Frostbite Falls.
You mean we gotta make our getaway by hitchhiking?
Babyface, we're disappointed in you.
Come, fellas. Do you think I'll let you down?
Yes.
Oh. Where is your fate? Where is your truck? Where is the car?
Indeed, Babyface Braunschweiger might have met a sorry fate right then if he hadn't spotted something in a nearby window.
Look, there's the car.
Sure enough, they were standing right before the office of the Picayune Intelligence, and there in the window was the Stearns Knight runabout.
That's a getaway car?
Blackguards can be choosers. Come on.
And in a jiffy, the gang had driven the old auto right through the window and were on their way out of town.
But they're getting away, Bullwinkle.
Tut, and may I add, tut, Mr. Fremley. Remember, Rocky Squirrel is on their trail. They haven't got a chance.
Little did Bullwinkle know that directly above him, the unconscious form of our hero, mind you, was hurtling nearer and nearer to the ground. Be with us next time for Down to Earth or Me and My Shatter.
There was once a man who had 3 sons. The first son was very handsome and very talented, for he could play the fiddle with his feet.
The boy will make a fortune doing that someday.
The second son was very strong and very wise, and he could recite clever verse while holding huge weights above his head.
Out of the blue, a cockatoo flew. Poop, poop, doo.
Beautiful. The boy will be famous someday.
But the third son was not a bit like his brothers, for he was a dullard and he was very lazy.
Come in out of the rain, son.
Yeah, what for?
For a while. The boy will never amount to a hill of beans.
Thank goodness. Who wants to be an old hill of beans?
Then one day the old man decided that it was time for his sons to go out into the world and make their fortunes. So he gave each of them some sour cheese, stale bread, and a cookie, and bid them farewell. The first son paused by a shady tree for his midday meal. He was about to eat his sour cheese, stale bread, and the cookie when a funny little man with a long beard and a crooked nose came up to him and said,
I am very hungry, young man. Would you share your meal with me?
No. I need this food to keep up my strength so that I can play the fiddle with my feet.
And so saying, he gobbled his food and set off down the road. A short time later, the second son paused by the tree to eat his midday meal when...
Pardon me, young man, but...
No! I need this food to keep up my strength so I can hold heavy weights over my head while reciting clever verse.
Then the third son came up to the shade of the old tree.
Ah, this resembles a fine spot to rest and have my midday meal. Gee, what a mess.
Pardon me, young man, but I am very hungry and...
You are? Good. Then you eat this.
You mean you'll let me have your sour cheese, stale bread, and cookie?
Sure. I may be dull, but I'm not crazy enough to eat that stuff, you know.
The funny little man was delighted, and he gave the young man an axe and instructed him to cut down the old tree. Then he scurried away. The dullard did as the funny little man had told him and chopped down the tree.
Timber! Ooh, that's smart.
And there, to the amazement of the young man, was a golden goose in the stump of the tree.
I'm rich!
He tied a string around the golden goose's neck and quickly headed for the village. He'd gone but a short distance when he met a wealthy merchant.
Well, I see you have a golden goose there.
Yeah, you'll have to admit, it's something you don't see every day.
I should like to have one of its golden feathers. Would you sell one to me for, say, a nickel?
A nickel? Certainly.
Then a strange thing happened, for when the merchant touched the goose's tail to pluck a feather, his hand stuck tight and he couldn't let go.
Don't some of the darndest things happen in fairy tales?
And the lad continued on his way with the hapless merchant stuck behind. They'd not gone far where they met a robber who waved his sword and shouted,
Oh, you've got a golden goose, which is something you don't see every day, and I'm gonna steal it.
Be my guest.
But when the robber grabbed the merchant to pull him away from the goose, his hand stuck tight, and the young man went on his way. When they reached the village, the sheriff saw the robber who was stuck to the merchant who was stuck to the goose, and he also stuck tight. And so it went until an hour later, no less than 206 people were stuck behind the boy and his goose. Now it so happened that the king had a beautiful daughter that never laughed. But when she looked out of the castle window and saw the long procession stuck behind the goose, she broke into gales of laughter. Upon seeing this, the king rushed to the young man with the goose and happily proclaimed,
You've made my daughter laugh, and therefore you shall marry her.
Well, now, that is a good idea, but it's going to be a little crowded, isn't it?
So the king called the castle wise man to solve the problem.
Do not worry, Your Highness. I can make them all let go with the 17 magic words. Now, Everybody who doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in the dungeon, raise his hand.
The problem was solved, and so they were married. Now, ordinarily, any young man who has a golden goose and is lucky enough to marry a princess would surely live happily ever after. But such was not the case in this case. Oh, no.
Because of that dratted goose, I'll be henpecked for the rest of my life, and that's for the birds.
So remember, dear friends, if you ever meet a funny little man with a long beard and a crooked nose, don't give him your sour cheese, stale bread, and a cookie, or your goose is cooked.
Private Bullwinkle, sir, with a message.
Just in time.
Is it important?
Is it? Just look.
The meeting will now come to order. Everybody take their seats. Let's have a little quiet there. Order! Sergeant at Arms, clear those aisles. Order!
Bullwinkle?
What, Rock?
Aren't you overdoing it a little?
Yeah, guess I got sort of carried away.
I second the motion.
Okay, let's start with the Bullwinkle and Rocky fan club cheer. Ready?
Cheer?
How does it go?
How should I know? I haven't heard it yet. Hooray for Rock! Hooray for Rock! Greatest kid on any block! Hooray for Bullwinkle! Hooray for Bullwinkle! He's so suave and handsome?
Hey, that doesn't rhyme.
I know. Maybe I ought to change my name so it rhymes with handsome.
Why not? It's fantasy show.
Now, what's the first order of business?
May I have the floor?
If you promise to give it back.
We gotta think of a way of enlarging our membership.
Maybe we could eat more, Rocky.
I mean, we ought to have more members.
Or less auditorium.
I got it. Everybody bring a friend next time.
Hooray!
Hey! It's discrimination. You know I don't got any friends.
Well, did everybody bring a friend? Natasha?
Mine escaped, darling.
Captain Peach Fuzz?
I forgot.
Boris?
I didn't bring a friend, but how about some enemies? I got 1,000,000 of them.
Sunset, that time of day when the tired Mountie sits down to dinner and gets his just desserts. And just what does the tired Mountie do after dinner? Well, if he's anything like Dudley Do-Right, champion of the oppressed and all-around goody two-shoes, he goes for a swim in the river.
Last one in is a rotten egg.
Which is just what he had eaten for dinner. The rest of his fellow Mounties remained in the dining hall, however. For you see, this was the middle of winter, and the river was anything but swimmable. By the time they got him out, Dudley's warm outlook on life had cooled considerably.
That ice is certainly thick.
So is your head, Dudley.
The vision of loveliness administering first aid to our hero is the haunting and ever-popular Nell Fenwick. She and Dudley have been engaged for 22 years.
You need someone to take care of you.
I have my horse.
You need a woman.
What is a woman?
I am a woman, Dudley, and I have decided to let you marry me.
10 minutes later, they stood before the preacher.
And if there is anyone present who objects to this union, let him speak now.
The gentleman about to object is Dudley's lifelong enemy, the malevolent Snidely Whiplash.
I don't know what it means, but I object.
Whiplash, you cur. So you would ruin my wedding, eh?
As a starter, yes.
Dudley picked up the thing nearest to him, which happened to be Nell, and threw it.
Aha! I have her, and you shall never get her back, or any other part of her.
Quick, Do-Right, give chase.
What? And miss all this swell food?
Far above Cayuga's waters sat Snidely Whiplash's sawmill, scene of many a tragedy.
Why are you doing this, you devil?
Because, Miss Fenwick, beneath this black exterior, there lies a mustard plaster. And over the mustard plaster there hangs an asafoetida bag. On it, imprinted in pica, are the words, Whippy loves Nellie. What I'm trying to say is, I love you. Well, let's say I like you a lot.
But I despise you.
You won't be mine?
Never.
Well, if I can't have you, neither can Do-Right.
He tied Nell to a log, pulled a lever, and started her on her way to the teeth of a giant saw. Fortunately, the conveyor belt was in need of oiling, and the trip was a slow one.
I must get word to Dudley.
Nell was in luck, for as Whiplash stepped out of the back door, a mailman stepped through the front.
One of them new weight-reducing machines, ma'am?
Quick, sir. Are you en route to the Mountie post?
No, but I'm a-going there.
Taking a pencil, she scrawled the word help on a sheet of paper, stuffed it into an envelope, addressed the envelope to Dudley Do-Right, then fainted from the exertion. 2 days later at the post, Nell's father, Inspector Fenwick, chatted with our hero.
I haven't seen Nell lately.
Come to think of it, I haven't either.
Perhaps she's visiting your sister.
Does she have a sister?
No, but Nell's a strange girl.
At that moment,
I ran all the way from Whiplash's sawmill. I have an urgent letter for Constable Do-Right.
It's from Nell. I'd know her penmanship anywhere.
Yes, it's from Nell, all right.
Well, aren't you going to open it?
That would be against the law, sir. You see, there isn't a stamp on the envelope.
and there you have the reason why Dudley rode to the sawmill, dashed inside when Nell was still on her way to the saw, talked her into sticking a stamp on the envelope, dashed outside the sawmill, rode all the way back to the post, and said to the inspector,
"It's from Nell, sir. She needs help."
Well, stand there, Do-Right. Don't just do something.
It took them an hour and a half to straighten out that last line, but eventually Dudley was on his way to the rescue. Would he make it in time?
Oh, save me, save me! Somebody save me!
Don't go all to pieces now. Wait about 5 seconds.
It looked like Nell Fenwick's wick was about to be extinguished when...
The jig is up, Whiplash!
Dudley, the saw! Pull the lever!
He pulled the lever all right, but the one that said freewheeling. The saw rotated madly, broke free of its moorings, and ate its way around the mill.
Frankenstein!
Within 5 minutes, the sawmill had been reduced to sawdust. As for Whiplash, he was last seen heading in the general direction of downtown Toronto, closely followed by the saw.
Oh, Dudley, my hero!
Nell, my heroine!
At approximately 11:10 the following morning, every available Mountie gathered on the post parade grounds. Constable Do-Right was to receive the Canadian Pretty Good Conduct Medal.
Before I pin this on you, Do-Right, when are you and my daughter going to be married?
Oh, I'd say in about 10 years, sir. Unless she gets out before that for good behavior. You see, I had to arrest her for mail fraud. The stamp she stuck on the envelope? Blue chip, sir. Against all regulations.
Well, babyface Boris Badenov and his gang, the Light-Fingered 5-2, have successfully plundered the Frostbite Falls Bank and are making their getaway in a 1910 Stearns Knight runabout.
This is a getaway car, babyface. It's pretty slow, boss.
Don't worry, boys. This was fastest car in Frostbite Falls.
How do you know?
Was only car in Frostbite Falls.
And back in town, Bullwinkle and the bank president wait for Rocky to return, unaware that he has been knocked out while flying and is directly above them, hurtling toward the ground unconscious.
But Bullwinkle, suppose those crooks try to hurt Rocky.
Then with my own 2 hands, I'll... Ooh!
You're what, Bullwinkle?
Rocky! It's not like you to drop in so unexpected.
Uh-oh, he's hurt, Bullwinkle. We better get him to a hospital.
And in a little while, Rocky was being examined at the Cochiching County Hospital.
How is he, Doc? What's the matter?
Well, your friend has a frontal tumescent edema with capillary suffusion.
That does it! They can't do that to my buddy. I'm personally going to tear them crooks from limb to limb.
And the furious Moose dashed out of the hospital on his mission of revenge.
What was it you said I had, Doctor?
Well, in non-medical terms, you've got a bump on the head.
Hokey smoke! Bullwinkle!
But it was too late. Bullwinkle was already on his bicycle, heading out of town and after Babyface and his mob. Fortunately for his efforts, the Stearns Knight runabout was very easy to follow, for it dropped a constant trail of nuts and bolts behind it. As a result, when one of the thugs chanced to look back...
Hey, babyface, somebody's following us on a sickle.
Motorcycle?
Bicycle.
Impossible.
But no, Bullwinkle was pumping furiously and actually gaining on the car as it roared over a twisting mountain road.
Faster, Spike, faster.
It won't go no faster, babyface.
Then quick, give me my book.
Your book? This is no time to catch up on your reading.
It's time for this reading. Look.
The Golden Treasury of Fiendish Plans.
Right. And here is plan number 1.
And Boris began to sprinkle carpet tacks and razor blades out of the back of the speeding car. Bullwinkle's tires were instantly punctured and torn to shreds. But he never faltered. In a few seconds, he was running on the rims and coming closer than ever. In desperation, Boris piled up every bit of loose trash in the getaway car and shoved the pile out the back.
Uh-oh! Looks like a second-hand store coming at me.
Fortunately for Bullwinkle, the first thing he hit was the rear seat. Instantly, he took off, flew clear over the rest of the trash, and landed even closer to the car.
Oh, boy, some book this is.
And the disappointed Boris tossed out his copy of the Golden Treasury of Fiendish Plan.
Oop!
In a second, Bullwinkle's bike skidded off the road and down a mountainside.
Great work, boss.
Oh, it was nothing any cold-blooded American gangster wouldn't have done.
But at that moment, Bullwinkle's bike came out on a lower level of the mountain road, and when Boris's car turned a corner...
Babyface, look! He's ahead of us!
Oh, boy!
Gee, I must be going faster than I thought. I passed them without even seeing them.
Well, now what, Babyface?
Wait till I figure out who's chasing who.
But Boris's problem was soon solved, for at that moment, a tiny chipmunk scurried out on the road ahead of Bullwinkle's bike. Of course, the soft-headed, soft-hearted moose jammed on the brakes and skidded to a halt.
There you are, little fella. Go ahead.
Look out!
It pays to be courteous because... No!
Well, what will be the outcome of this horrendous smash-up? We'll see next time in Hop, Skip, and Junk, or Bullwinkle's Big Toe.
Well, it looks as if our time has just about run out.
Just enough left to tell him who the sponsor was.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop!
We're late again, Bullwinkle.
Right.
Bye now. See you next time.